This is a First and 10 Monday on Coaching Football with Brian Clee.
So in this First and 10 Monday, we're taking a look at defensively using a 4-3 over or under, too high defense to defend full house, pistol, and specifically GT triple option. So a couple things before we get into the details of coaching up the defense. Defensive philosophy, I think you got to have the mindset. Number one, you can only coach and have as many calls as you guys can execute. If you're getting to a third, fourth call of ways of defending triple option, I think you're probably going to be asking your kids a little bit much, unless you've got an extremely experienced group. And then secondly, understand that you as the defense control the option. You get to give the offense a read that should give them a certain response. You know, if the quarterback gets a give read and he's well coached, he's going to give the ball. You can make sure that the quarterback keep in the pitch phase doesn't happen. Likewise, you can make sure you're closing over and over and over again and taking away the dive threat, taking away the give, and force the keep and pitch. That's something you control defensively, because my experience, I've got, I think, 13 full years of experience of coaching in triple option systems. If that quarterback ever pitches off the dive key, that is a win for the defense and a loss for the offense. Usually it's a tackle for loss, as long as you match up and you can make your tackles. If they got a bunch of freaks and they break tackles, that's a whole other story. We control that in the offseason. We don't necessarily control that during the season if that guy's just flat out faster, stronger, and you don't have a matchup. Okay, so first they're running GT triple to the defensive right, the offensive left. So the center's blocking back. They get their double team. They get their guard pulling and kicking. They get their tackle wrapping, and it was a mesh with the offset back. Quarterback is keeping out. The three back is leading. The two back there, the opposite offset back, is getting in pitch relationship. I'm anticipating them leading there. Coach had drawn up that the number ones were stock blocking. They very well could push crack, and that might affect, I think initially I'd go cover zero. Just put the corners out there. If I feel we match up at all with those wide receivers, they don't push crack, I like cover zero. The only thing you're giving up probably is an out when you're playing inside leverage press man. If you are getting a lot of push crack, we want to be able to crack replace. So that way we are inside out, and that puts the safety in great position to run with crack and seam, and puts the corner in a great position to run with a potential wheel coming out here. So there's the outside coverage. In the box, we're going to force that give. The defensive end come up the field. You see tackle pull away. I think you can coach a kid up to do this over the course of the week. You got to make sure you spend a little bit of practice time, but you get tackle pull away, you're sitting on that quarterback. Force the give, because now defensively, we've got 6 for 5 blockers and a ball carrier. 5 plus 1 is 6. You've matched your numbers. So he's working there. The backside 3 technique. You could give him the green light to cross face and cancel that gap completely, and then that leaves room for whoever you want to be the cutback responsible player. Since we're cover zero, I'd say when the back goes away, I got that safety inside. He is working down to double check. All right, quarterback's coming back. That's my first cutback threat. If the quarterback definitely doesn't have the ball, I can be a late cutback threat guy. Play side, I'd want to spill. All right, we get a tackle down block. We're going to spill. That's our base way of calling it, at least. We get the MAC linebacker fitting inside of the pulling tackle, the will fitting outside, and then the free can be the cleanup of everything. You could switch these 2 responsibilities. You could end up scraping and then spilling. That's up to you and how you structure your defense. I like both guys getting downhill in this situation. Always take away, if you're that middle linebacker, nothing can cut back. All that means is you win to the inside of any insert blocks, because you got your will linebacker outside. Okay. not a 4-3 coach, but if you are coaching it, that's how I think you need to do it. So we've spilled the ball. We've got a one-on-one tackle with a guy that was anticipating hitting A gap, bouncing to B gap, bouncing to C gap, and running sideways in a spot where now the free safety is completely unblocked. The will linebacker probably has leverage to go help on that as well. You should have a 2-on-1 if you do a great job spilling. If you force the ball, so maybe both guys are just in, out calls or up calls, whatever you want to make it. Now you've got the will linebacker still is inside the kick out, but outside of the wrap, and then the free safety's run is a little bit shorter. So if you don't want the ball to the edge, you don't love the idea of that ball carrier working to the sideline, you kind of tell the defensive end on that side, the 5 technique in this case, hey, you're up the field because we want to make sure we don't get the ball outside. We don't want any time triple option beating us outside. And you're still good. You've got numbers. They've inserted 2. You've met that with 3 inserts. About the only issue would be a cutback. And most likely that's going to be too slow as long as your backside 3 is compressing what this center is doing to eventually take away that potential A-gap run that's happening there. And if it's a straight ahead run, I mean, the MAC linebacker, you should be tracking hip as much as you're reading guards. You should be on the back hip of everything because you will take care of that initial cutback. So, thing is, good offenses understand, hey, they're not giving us that. Let's take what the defense is giving us, which brings us to stretch over here. So they all go work their stretch rules. Okay. They most likely offenses would put this guy up on that will linebacker because that 5 technique's not going to get there, especially if we've been calling. Hey, you guys are worried most about a potential quarterback keep when they give you a triple look. So those guys, they might be on, again, an up the field call or out call. This double team's working to that MAC linebacker, which I already had drawn. They give the ball, as much as they're giving us a triple look, it's probably not triple. Because if they pull it, number one, the DN smacking the quarterback like he's tackling him right now. You got to pitch off that. And if you pitch off that, the jack linebacker's out. You got 2 for 2. They don't have that extra blocker happening. And really, there's a third guy, that safety. Again, you maybe want this guy worried about cutback. So he is playing quarterback to pitch, and he is pitch all the way. If he is certain the quarterback doesn't have it, he can be pretty aggressive inside there. So you're still taking things away. The thing is, do they get stuff reached over here? Do they push crack when we're in cover 0? They force us into cover 2. That's not the end of the world. But now they've got maybe that 2-back is their absolute best player. Maybe their 2 top running backs are those 2 guys. Well, at some point, him one-on-one with the corner might not be a good matchup for you. Even him one-on-one with the safety, if they go stall, might not be a good matchup. So you're like, all right, defensively, we'll just squeeze this. We'll squeeze this. All right, we get the pull right now. We're good. Jack linebacker. So we go squeeze. Jack linebacker sitting on the quarterback. Safety runs to the pitch. The quarterback should be handing it off still because they don't have numbers out there, and their coach should talk to them about it. Problem, we come back over here. Okay, let's clean up this side because that's really the thing that's changing. Now we go chase it. Jack linebacker steps up for quarterback coming out on the keep. Quarterback comes just a little bit wider through the heels of that defensive end. They put him up on the safety. They put the number 1 there. We got one guy for pitch and quarterback. You can't play both at the same time. Now you can force the pitch and we can all rally to it and we can overlap and maybe get there. So now, once I start calling that pinch, I might have to change on the pinch calls. I tell the middle linebacker, hey, you see the ball go away, snap your eyes here. If that number 2 is going out, like over here, keep straight. Keep straight. If that number 2 comes back, you are the bonus guy, okay? So that way they've got one blocker for one guy load blocking for 2 defenders left. So that's something to consider if you start making those pinch calls, okay? A couple other things to defend. Maybe a RPO, and we'll end up looking at defending RPO off this, where again they got the mindset, hey, they're sending this DN up the field. They don't have a pinch call on. Let's just split block him. Okay, slip the number 2 to the flats. They run GT. Excuse me. They'll slip the third receiver. They want to give the same look, right? And that number 3 gets to the flats. They've got outside stem and an arrow. All right, how do we make sure we handle that? Well, I've got first threat out. I'll take it. I'm driving on the slant if we're cover 0. If it's cover 2, I can melt a little bit, and ultimately the safety should be sitting on that slant. I can coach my jack linebacker, hey, be in the slant window, and we will rally to that arrow. So I think you're good. Again, especially you sitting that defensive end there, there's no chance of the quarterback keep happening. You still keep 6 guys for 5 blockers and a potential ball carrier. Defensively, you should be in good shape as long as your jack linebacker understands I've got first threat out, and then we got bonus out of the other guys. About the only thing that might be scary if you're cover 2, the safety's got to be really patient on playing cutback. So you get beat by cutback, that safety gets nosy, all of a sudden that slant, we're outside leverage on at cover 2. That's why I want to be cover 0. That slant just doesn't exist then. It should not exist in theory. So now they change it up, and they decide they're going to run GT triple, but with that back. So real fast, the GT, they're blocking it up, same, double, all that stuff. We're working on getting our spill. We're working on our scrape. We're working on our B spilling outside the wrapper. Okay, you're inside the wrapper, working cutback area. We're still up the field with the defensive end. And now the offensive scheme, the quarterback steps off the midline, gives that 3 back to midline, and then he follows the polars. 2 is out, coming out to the edge, and the other guy is the pitch relationship. However, they're going to sort this out. Again, offensively, I think that's a bigger pain in the butt for the defense. You're going to limit and more likely see a zone coverage. Otherwise, they get a 2-for-1 with that corner falling, so I want that corner here, and then your crack replacing. You're down. We are good. We are good if we force the get. That jack linebacker can start working cutback. Okay? If that guy is consistently breaking tackles, number 1, try and teach tackling better, but sometimes it's just not a great matchup. And we need the ball out of that guy's hands, especially if the offense starts doing some other things. We start making that pinch call. We make that pinch call, we get the ball to the edge, so that way we've got hopefully a 2-on-1 over there instead of a 1-on-1. Now the jack linebacker, here's the small issue though. We are forcing that jack linebacker's here. Initially I thought, hey, just key the quarterback. Well, if I'm keying the quarterback out from that Mac linebacker position, I will never help on the GT, and then there's a huge ass cutback lane. That's not good. So what I would have the Mac linebacker, all right, that guy's on the midline. You got what's happening there. This is why you ultimately want to try to force the give. Because right now the offense has 1, 2, 3, 4 guys coming to the perimeter. You've got 1, 2, 3 guys left. They're going to get 2 of those blocked. And now that jack linebacker, does he step to quarterback? Well, the quarterback pitches it. Does he step out? The quarterback should tuck it and keep it. So I think you can game plan to minimize what you want to take away, but you can't take away everything. You know, the one answer I guess I would have, I could have 5 guys over here, and if I know that quarterback's going to pull it because we're going to chase it down, we get a 6th guy with the defensive end. If they give it, that defensive end has to be making the plays. Okay? If we make that pinch call, that Mac linebacker, I could put him keying that number 2. If that number 2 arc blocks, like they did up here at stretch, you know, I could be out. I could be chasing. If that number 2 comes back, I'm the bonus guy. All right, Jack linebacker is maybe on towards the pitch, or playing cue to pitch. That's always a good way to play things. The Mac linebacker would 100% be cue, and then the 2 DBs would be your pitch players. Okay, and once you force that give, you're chasing it down. We still have 6 on 5. That defensive end has to make the play, especially before that number 3 would end up hitting a potential A gap. You know, that's one of those things. You pinch the front. You pinch the front with the 3 technique and the 5 technique. You close all those gaps up. It's just the will linebacker and the free for 2 blockers out there. You should be able to maintain leverage. The offense is working that double team. That 3 technique, as long as he holds the point and he stays on that double team, nothing extra climbs up to linebacker level, and it doesn't have great angles to get to the will or 3 anyways. You got the will to be outside of the spilled kick out and inside of the wrapper, and the free outside of all of it. But you're back to one-on-one tackle. So you got to make your decision. What part do you want to take away? Do they tend to run certain plays in certain situations, and you maybe are adjusting between whatever your base up call is or out call and your inside movement, your pinch call. Okay, defending a couple more things. If I was an offensive coordinator, and I'm going to talk about this in another video, I'll put in the link down below, I would feature that deep back. That would be the basis. If I'm in full house, I want to feature that guy. I think him down the midline, like I was talking about, that causes issues if they are running and they ever hit the A gap on us, and that middle linebacker's out, and we're too worried about the perimeter. There's a huge cutback lane, especially you get into ISO or zone concepts. That running back's pressing the A gap, banging the A gap, and then bend into something else. That can cause some defensive issues. So that's ultimately defensively, I'd mostly want to be in a pinch if they're featuring that deep back. So they run, now they just run counter. They're like, all right, got it. You're sending that D end up the field. You're on an out call. Or even if you're pinching them, okay, our tackle is going to step down to the center. The offensive tackle, is going to step down to the center. So I'm on that pinch. That's really hard to get inside of that, okay? Even on a pinch call. Now, we can close the A gap with that tackle going here. Here's the downside of closing the A gap immediately. If this double team's been coached well and they're working real hard, all right, that tackle steps and all pressure disappears. He is working up to that middle linebacker. Okay, and that middle linebacker, if I'm on a pinch call, I can go in here. Okay, that's why I would hang out in a pinch call if I'm trying to stop that deep back. Okay, I'm coming down inside as the defensive end. I've got a puller coming at me. We've got a guy inside the puller. The will linebacker would be working up off the edge here. And the way I would expect him to be running counter, this guy would essentially be a bonus guy on the perimeter, and then this guy would be a wrap guy. So we got to get both those matched. All right, our Mac linebacker, this is why the Mac linebacker has to get over the top. He would be in between the spilled kick-out player and then the bonus wrapper coming from the backside. I would want the will to set the edge here because that's very similar to an arc block on stretch. So to me, the will linebacker has to get out there and set the edge, and then that lets the free run the alley. There's no threat of triple option fake. So that Jack linebacker, all right, I'm still going to work up to the edge, but I can be a fold-in player late, okay, up the edge, and somebody's got to play quarterback keep. If I want to be extra aggressive and take away the run game, that Jack linebacker, again, work up to the edge, look for cutback, and the safety could have a potential quarterback keep. What I think is really challenging if that back is constantly on the midline, and then the quarterback's coming out on his fake. That reads constantly the same. I think counters a little bit easier to defend, especially you get the ball spilled and you're making those one-on-one tackles. Ultimately, a lot of times that free would be the free hitter. When the offense executes, they're going to leave only one guy out blocked. That's just the way the world works, and that's why tackling is so important. You got to invest your time, making sure you take care of that tackling. But that pinch should take away the counter from my perspective. But again, if they're doing that, expect them to go back to some triple concepts and trying to get the ball out on the edge. So that's like something you're constantly waiting. If they go ISO to the boundary side here, you see most teams I would expect a double, and then they're protecting backside kick out. Again, I really like the pinch call from the defensive standpoint because I'm not giving them this gap, jack linebacker, work up to the edge. You're able to fold in late. Safety, you can sort these two guys out however you want. Corners, we can talk about them on the last thing. They're just manned up. Okay? Again, unless you're getting a ton of arc blocks or crack arc, push cracks, we can man them up. Safety can be out on the edge or a potential quarterback keep. And now on the double ISO, there's two inserts. We got to match that with three guys. Mac linebacker, I'd want him spilling. Will linebacker, you're forcing. Free inside. And again, the nice thing about the pinch, that might completely take away the B gap. You take away the B gap completely. Now these two backs got to adjust their path. He comes out wider. Will, you go force it. Free. You go there. Mac linebacker, you don't have to be completely committed. If that's all muddy, that back scrapes out wider, you are just finding him, and you might just flat out beat him to the punch. You might beat him out there, and we've got 3 on 1 blocker with the ball carrier, making a drastic cut there. I really like the defensive perspective if we're pitching. Okay? If not, that's a lot of space to have to fit quickly, though you want to creep those safeties up. And again, that's inviting the idea you do definitely got one-on-ones from the defensive perspective. And then lastly, defending a split zone, I'll show both calls. So we're in our base call against split zone. They're working zone to the offensive left, defensive right. Probably push the double team to the will. Double team, got to IT the Mike linebacker, the Mac linebacker, right? And I am up the field, okay, in the base call. Oh, right now they've got 5 on 5. We got all the gaps. All the gaps should be fit. And now the ball, if it does spill out, we're a one-on-one with the free, not the end of the world. That free safety and that strong safety, they're going to be there because they are tacklers. Otherwise, you need to run those slightly different defense. Here's the split block. They'll get that nice and easy. The nice thing from the offensive perspective, the pain in the butt from the defensive perspective, if they are diving that 3 on the midline over and over again, giving you that same look on an RPO here, 2 slips out to the flats. I don't have cutback support, but I shouldn't need cutback support. The jack linebacker can sit all over that. So that is the nice thing about being up the field with the 2 defensive ends. The cutback support shouldn't have to happen. And maybe there's this weird extra lane here. So if it's really, really, really problematic, I can put the jack linebacker as a bonus for cutback. Again, I'm sitting on quarterback, and up here, and the safety has to be able to sky down. He would have to be able to key that coming out of the backfield. Okay. Now, if they slip this guy to the flats, and they run a stick concept, now any cutback support out of these 2 guys has to be canceled. How I personally would probably want to do it, Jack, you got the first one. Safety, you got the second one. Okay. got it matched. In theory, as long as everyone makes their one-on-one tackles. But again, defensively, you're counting on one-on-one tackles. Tackling is so very important. Can't overlook that. If we play it with the spill mindset, okay, so we're spilling, we're pinching. We want to take away any chance of that number 3. We want them to beat us with the pass game. Okay? First to the flats, slips to the flats. Our MAC linebacker can know, all right, they're working their zone this way. Our freeze the bonus guy. There's no real lane inside anymore. We've closed all of those lanes, and we've told the quarterback, hey, you better be ready to pull this and get to the edge. So that quarterback does off of the fake. The quarterback has it. He starts to attack the edge. We need to match that because the jack linebacker's out, safety's out. Our MAC linebacker, once again, I'd have him key that guy. That guy goes to the flats. It's not that you have that guy. That's just telling you, hey, we need somebody on contain on quarterback. And I think if you structure your defense consistently, you face a little bit of sprint out, you face a quarterback that runs off of drop back passes when you cover everything up, you should have that MAC linebacker, Mike linebacker, whatever you want to call him, he should be trained up. Hey, you got the quarterback on sprint out. This is just like that. And then that's one of the things about structuring your defense, and that's a whole other video. If you want more about it, leave a comment. Thank you guys for checking this out. Just some ideas, not a 4-3 guy. Just I think it's good exercise to go through and kind of ask yourself, how would I defend these concepts? What might an offense do to these different things? So that way you start to develop your system and understand the strengths and weaknesses of the call, because every call has a strength and weakness, no matter what guys out there end up trying to say. Again, thanks for checking this out. Have a good one.
If you think it would be fun to participate in a 1st and 10 Monday in some way, shape, or form, whether that is you presenting an offensive formation or two and how you would go about game planning against how I would try to defend that, and I'm going to exchange some ideas about how we're going to game plan to defend that offensive concept and those formations, or if you want to flip that script and you want to have me present an offensive formation or two and some offensive concepts and how we're going to game plan for how you would go about trying to defend us, and you're exchanging your ideas about how to put together a defensive game plan to stop that, that'd be great. There's my contact information. Hit me up on Twitter, leave a comment down below, or shoot me an email.